All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to take a look at 20 ways to reframe failures, and we'll do this using MindLines, Lines for Changing Minds. This is a fantastic book. I love it. This is about the magic of conversational reframing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to show 20 ways to reframe things, and after that, I'm going to give you guys also a special type of a deal, because you can see this book's only available as a paperback. Well, I've actually just finished recording it as a MindLine. I've recorded this book as an audiobook, so that's just released today. All right, so let's take a look at how this works. So we're going to take a look at failure, right? We've all failed before, and we've probably beat ourselves up for it. So what we're going to do is apply 20 different mind lines to reframe failure. And this is a way to be able to learn how to reframe while also being able to think about failure in a different way. Okay, so let's begin. All right, so we got 20 ways to reframe failure. So first off, consider the toxic ideas in this statement. So this is going to be the problem statement, the dragon statement, the false belief type of statement, the statement that we're going to apply the mind line to. Okay, so here we go. Whenever I don't succeed, it really bothers me. It makes me feel like a failure. I just hate not reaching my goals for that purpose. All right, and I just recently failed an evaluation, so I can certainly relate to all of these. So these are the strategies, the reframes that are going to be applied. I said there's 20 of them, so this is the ones chunking down. So this is about taking the whole idea about it and just making it a little bit more specific, just moving it down a notch. Reality strategy, that's the way they think about it. EB is external behavior. IS, that's internal state. Apply to self, so you take their idea and they apply to themselves, or you apply to the listener. Counterexamples, positive prior, so whatever happened before it. First outcome, so in other words, what's the outcome of that belief? Outcome of outcomes. All right, so you get the idea. So these are the ones that we're going to be applying. All right, let's start doing it. Again, here's our dragon statement. Whenever I don't succeed, it really bothers me. It makes me feel like a failure. I hate not reaching my goals for that purpose. Right? I went to do an evaluation and I failed. Now I just feel like all doom and gloom. All right, so let's do the chunking down. So you think you are, see that? It's already making a difference here. So you think you are a failure, do you? So as you think about something for which you define yourself as a failure, how specifically do you represent this idea? What pictures, sounds, feelings, and words do you use to create this meaning? Right, so you can see how we're asking the person to kind of get more specific about how they came up with this idea of failure. How do you represent the action of failing? One thing is making you a failure, right? So we get to see how they equated the failure with themselves. All right, let's take a look at another one. Reality strategy chunk down. So up until now, you have accepted the idea of viewing and defining yourself as a failure. How specifically do you know that failing at one thing on a particular day makes you a failure? Ooh, I like that, especially that particular day part. What do you see first? Then what do you say about that? And so on as you think about this. So now we're going to try on their belief, and they say, to teach me how to do this the way you do, what would I have to think, see, and hear, etc.? Beautiful. So for me, I could say, well, I didn't pass and I failed, and I guess that makes me a failure, but no, I guess not. Maybe I just realized that time I didn't pass, right, on that particular day. Okay, what's the next one? Number 3, reframe the EB. EB stands for external behavior. So if I said, oh, I'm so sad, it's raining, external behavior would be the rain, and sadness would be the internal state. All right, so let's go back to this. So reframe the EB. So that's the external behavior. So that's the feeling like a failure and not reaching the goals. So the significance of not reaching your goal means that you have received information about numerous ways that will not get you there. Now you can feel free to explore new possible avenues, can you not? Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like Thomas Edison, right? He figured out 10,000 ways that not to make the light bulb. So instead of him getting down and out, say, oh man, I failed 10,000 times, you could say, well, you found 10,000 ways not to make the light bulb, right? That's reframing the EB, the external behavior. Okay, now we're going to reframe the internal state. So these are feelings of failures. So here you'd say something like, interesting that you say that. What I really find as a failure, and I mean failure with a big F, occurs when someone doesn't reach a goal and then just sits down in the dirt and quits and won't learn or try again. I'd call that a failure. Ooh, right? So in other words, if you feel like a loser now, imagine if you do nothing about it forever. Ooh, that'd be a bigger failure, right? So that makes the internal state reframed now, right? Beautiful. Okay, what's next? Reflexively apply to self. Oh, I always like this one. It's a little bit confrontational because you're taking their belief that they're spitting out and you're basically putting it back in their face. Okay, let's take a look at it. So does that mean if you don't reach your goal in presenting this limiting and painful belief to me, that just talking to me will turn you into a failure? Ooh, right? That's a good one. Okay, so now we're going to flip this. Now we're going to do reflexively apply to listener, right? So we're going to take this person's belief and we're going to apply it to ourselves in a sense. Here we go. This is fun. Okay, so then with that way of thinking about things, if I don't succeed in coming up with a good way of responding and helping you with this distress, I'll become a big failure also. In other words, my success or failure as a human being depends on succeeding in this conversation in just the right way. Ooh, yeah, that was great, right? So we're taking this toxic belief and we're applying, if you can't explain this to me, well, then, I'm failing to understand. I'm a failure too. Perfect. All right, next one. Counter example framing. Okay. When you think about some of your successes and how good and resourceful you feel about them, you mean if you mispronounced a word or failed in any aspect of any goal surrounding that, that such would turn you into a failure? Wow, okay, so you see what we did there? We found an example of where they failed, and would that also make them a failure? Oh, I went to tie my shoelaces, but the laces broke, I'm a failure. Right, counterexample. Okay, next one, positive prior intentional. And by the way, the book goes into way more detail about how to do these. Okay, reaching the goals that you set for yourself must mean a lot to you. Yeah, I can imagine that you take that view in order to protect yourself from messing things up and to push yourself to higher levels, right? And since you want that, perhaps some other attitudes about failure might help you to really succeed in your goals. Yeah, exactly. I failed that evaluation, but I'm looking to succeed in life. What's the next one? Positive prior causation framing. Okay. It seems important to you to set and reach goals. Yeah. So you probably have taken on this limiting belief because you've had some painful experiences. Yeah. And you want to protect yourself against more pain. Okay. I wonder what other beliefs you could build that you would find even more effective than this one. Wow, right, okay. You know what, let's read this statement again. Whenever I don't succeed, it really bothers me. It makes me feel like a failure. I just hate not reaching my goals for that purpose, right? You didn't get the grant, didn't pass the evaluation, didn't get the job, didn't get the interview, or your project didn't quite work or whatever. I feel like a failure. So now we'll take a look at number 10, which is first outcome. What results for you when you move through life defining your experiences and yourself as failures just because you don't reach a goal as you want to? Do these serve you well in setting and reaching goals or in feeling successful? Ooh, do you like those negative, unresourceful feelings? Wow, see what it's done there? So it's like, I feel bad because I failed. And now what they're saying is, oh, so if you keep, feeling bad overall in life when you don't succeed, do you really want to go through life feeling like a failure like that? It kind of questions the whole belief. So I like that one. And again, if you want to learn more, this book, MindLines, the audiobook is completed. I narrated it, The Magic of Conversational Reframing. And I also have some free copies to give away. Okay, so let's go back. Whenever I don't succeed, it bothers me. It makes me feel like a failure. I hate not reaching my goals. Now we're going to do outcome of outcome. Imagine going out, say 5 or even 10 years from now, after you have defined every unsuccessful attempt at reaching a goal as turning you into a failure, and then living from that failure identity and feeling unresourceful. What will come out of that? Ooh. Will you take on many risks? Right? No. What other outcomes emerge when you feel like a failure and take that into your future? Wow, right? So they're really showing how detrimental keeping this belief is if I spread it across my whole life, right? That's the outcome of the outcome. Moving along here, number 12, eternity framing, somewhat similar. When I think about this, I wonder what you will think when you look back on this belief about failure when you step over into eternity, and I wonder how you will think and feel about this limiting belief that you used as you move through life. Now I think, well, whether my time passes, what's the big deal about passing that evaluation or not? Is it really my whole being is a failure? No, right? So I can see how this type of framing can help to change that. Number 13, model of the world framing. I use this one a lot. What an interesting way to think about events that so overloads them with meaning. Do you know where you got this map about one unsuccess equaling failing? Do you know that most people don't use that map to torture themselves? Yeah, exactly, right? We're no need to torture ourselves. We're all going to fail at stuff, and that's how we learn. All right, let's go on. We're making good progress. Number 14, criteria and value framing. So remember, a person saying, I hate not reaching my goals. All right, well, when you think about your values of enjoying life, appreciating people, and doing your best, etc., do you not think of those values as more important than making success or failure judgment about every action? Right? That would be interesting because let's say I did that evaluation and I failed it, but I made 3 friends in the class and we all, I ended up knowing them for years afterwards, right? Hey, remember that time we failed geometry in grade 9? Well, hey, we became good friends and now we've known each other for 30 years. This sort of thing, because we value our relationship more than we value getting a grade on political science or whatever the thing is, right? Number 15, allness framing. I use this one a lot. So since everybody, right, you can already see where this is going. So since everybody has failed at something at some time in life, that must make everybody on this planet a failure. Ooh, right? How great is that one? Allness framing, really easy. Number 16, have to framing. All right, so whenever I don't succeed, it bothers me. It makes me feel like a failure. I hate not reaching my goals for that purpose. So let's use the have to framing. What would it feel like for you if you did not evaluate events in terms of success or failure? Right? They don't have to. What would happen if you didn't do that? Right? So in other words, not having to measure things in success and failure. Number 17, we're getting closer. Identity framing. I like this one a lot. This one's easy also. What an interesting belief about your self-identity, so totally dependent on your behaviors. Do you always identify people with their behaviors? Do you really consider that people are their behaviors? Right? So think about that. Hey, I saw that guy having a drink of Pepsi. That guy's a drinker. So, just chunk it all the way up to identity, right? I pulled up to a parking meter and there was still 5 minutes on the meter, so I got free time. Hey, that guy's a thief. It's like, hang on a second, right? So just kind of chunking it into identity. All right, next one is number 18, ecology framing. I don't really use this one too often, but it's still useful in its some ways. How enhancingly do you think this belief serves people just learning a new skill, trying a new sport, taking a risk, and practicing a new social behavior? Would you recommend this belief as a way for them to succeed with greater ease and positive feelings? Right? Obviously not. Does it empower or limit your endeavors? Ooh, excellent, right? You see how we can turn the poisonous statement and really bounce it into something better and transform it. Number 19, we're almost there. Other abstractions. So as you think about not reaching a goal and labeling it as making you a failure, I take it you do this a lot. You take a specific instance and overgeneralize it into a whole category. And you do this so successfully, don't you? Would you like to fail at this success? Oh, that's a nice little reframe. Would you like to fail at this success? Cool. All right, now this is my favorite one, number 20. This is about using a story, metaphoring, restorying. And metaphor, I think, is Greek. It comes from 2 words, meta and frame, meaning to carry over. So you're basically carrying over the meaning from one thing to something else. All right, so this is a story about a little girl, right? She's learning how to walk and she falls down. So the story is basically, oh, so when she learns to walk and she falls down, the little girl's a failure? No, right? So this is about the little girl. Now she can walk, and that's that. Okay, so there we go. Those are the 20 reframes, and I'll just put these up here again so you can see what we just went through. And the next batch, there we go. You can screenshot that if you need it. And if you'd like more information on how this works, it's definitely worth a go because I've got copies of this book. I can give you a copy for free if you want it. And it's Lines for Changing Minds. It also works great if you get the paperback and read along with it. But I do have the book available. It's on Spotify and Google Play and Walmart and Kobo. And so I'll put a link down below. You guys can just click it, send me your email, and then just tell me you want the book, and then I can send you a copy. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye for now. This is D.S. Yvonne at reprogrammingmind.com.